Someone listening to this and they're thinking, that sounds like an awesome idea. I want to have some financing and a loan from ArK Kapital. What would be your best advice to say, this is the way, if they come to you and make a pitch, what should they really do and not to do to make you pick them and choose them?
Well, that's the nice thing. You don't have to pitch much, right? You just come to us and say that we have a great company, and I'll let you connect to our data, and then you'll see it.
That is actually a very surprisingly good answer, I must say, which is almost disappointing.
For me, it's a bad answer, because if my business model is not fitting into, for some companies, it's very simple, right?
Yeah.
Let's show us your data and we can see it. Boom. But then you will have companies like, you have a business model which is consulting and services. Yeah. You work in this way, so your model will not be for everyone, maybe. Or are you? I argue that you could probably stretch it more and more.
Yeah, it's
finding data points in different ways.
Eventually, we will stretch it to all the different business models, but we need to start somewhere, right? We have only a few people right now, so we start with SaaS companies, B2C or B2B.
Yeah, so SaaS companies, B2B, B2C, so you can have a digital entry point.
It's just because we want to start because you need to start somewhere. Yeah. You can't do everything at exactly the same time.
Makes full sense.
So you start to build out the models for a segment. And
I need to connect you to some people.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so if there is a company that have some kind of software as a service kind of solution that can scale, I guess that's what you're looking for in this case, because it's a safe bet, from a scaling point of view.
Exactly.
That's something that they can do. But still, if we take it one more step, you are going to connect to the different data sources you have, and you get some kind of initial metrics. But if someone were to do that kind of investigations themselves before they come to you, what should they look for? What is it that they should try to optimize for in the
before
data
they come to us?
Before they come to you?
Well, ideally they would have insights into their data, and they could say they know that we have proven that we can grow, and if we could get a loan here, we could grow faster. If they know that, if they have proven that, that's a great point.
But the loan actually do provide value in some way.
They would we want them to. We want to provide capital for them to grow further.
Yes.
And if they feel that I know that I have proven that I have grown to where I am today, and if I can get more money, I will grow even faster. If they know that themselves, then most likely we're going to see that in data too. Then it's going to be nice.
How important is it that they have a clear idea what they need the money for in their scaling journey? Because it's a little bit this story. So Jan Bosch said, you can kill a company by giving them too much money too early. They're not go through the nailing stage. They need to go to the scaling phase, because then they know what they need.
Yeah. So, what we are doing when we connect to the data is really to see how are they using money today, and what is driving their growth today. And then you would see that, okay, well, maybe it's not the money that is driving the growth, maybe something else. So giving them more money probably won't make it for them. And then it's going to be a conversation. Okay, so what is it that you're going to do? And why do you think you will in the future do? Why will money help you in the future if it hasn't helped you in the past? And maybe it could be good reasons for that. So it's not out of scope, but then it will require discussion here. But it's a very interesting topic. And when we have lent money to a company, they will also continue to get access to this to the tool, which will help them to also track very important metrics. So make sure that if they start to overspend on stuff and it doesn't work, they will see it, and it will help them to act immediately, right?
Very good.
So because it's good for us and good for them, right? So we have this aligned incentives. So we want them to succeed, and that comes back to the tool. I don't want to build a mega dashboarding solution here where they can slice and dice data however they want. We want to build a tool, a UI for them that make them really grow faster.
But how do you capture other, hard to capture metric from the data sources you mentioned, like the quality of the team, Do you ignore that completely, or can you capture that somehow? Or
right now we don't have any sources for that. So that will be, but it's not as important as the VC case here, because if the team has proven that they can grow, and we see like this is predictable into the future, and we can say that we comfort, or with some certainty, we believe that they will, in the low scenario, even be able to repay our loans. Then it's fine, right? Actually, then we don't care much about who is running this, like where you come from and anything.
Exactly. So that can be like almost like a quality kind of way to equalize who can get funding.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be the one that have the great connections. Right? That's
exactly it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You are objectively looking at the hard numbers, and then you're having models to understand the scenarios and predictability in the trajectories of those numbers.
So it's just maths, right? It's just statistics.
But still, just to linger a small part or time longer on that, so some companies still want to grow their company, and they want to set them up to become as great, partner with you, if you call it that, as possible, and they still want to build their team, and you've been part of building teams for a long time as well. How would you still recommend people to get that kind of number, the data that is required for this? What type of, have you seen any failure with that they require the wrong type of people? I'm thinking about what John said, with salespeople, etc. And you can actually, I would argue, you can also blow up numbers sometimes with data that looks completely wrong, because you simply do that with, bloated numbers, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. And think about my position. I've been involved in probably around 100 investments that made it for Equity Ventures. And to get there's been a lot of nays as well, much, much more. So I've seen many cases like that.
But let me get some more background about this, because we spoke a bit with Jan Bosch as well about this. And I think, a lot of people, including myself, think it's super important with engineers, and that they can have the tech expertise necessary to build the product that they can have and scale. And he actually also said, and of course I do believe we should have salespeople, not saying that, but I think sometimes, people abuse salespeople, that they, in a way that they can simply push money into marketing, and that makes the numbers look really great, and there is no real substantial, customer value that you do provide, and in that way you can fool the numbers to look good.
What do you mean, like you're selling stuff that long term the stickiness is not there, but someone sold it really well?
Yeah, you can just push money into marketing, and then the number of customer is growing really nicely. But it's not really sustainable growth. So
that's exactly what you can see, right? So if you actually look at the data, how the users, if you're able to, what you said is great, actually. If, as a first step, you said that if you spend money, you can bring in new customers.
Yes.
Not everyone managed to do that. It's a lot of companies that spend a lot of money. And when you look at what happened when they started to increase their spend, actually they didn't.
There's not really uptake anyway.
They just spend more and they don't make the connection that
the conversion is not really
it's
there.
Not really happening. Maybe they have some other metrics that improve, but not the customers, and that's a mistake then. But if you manage to get them in, as you said, so then you pass like the first great point. But then the other thing is that what do they do on the platform or your product or your...
Do they grow? Do they churn?
Do they come back? Or do they monetize? Are you able to monetize them or not? Or do you get maybe you got the wrong customers in through your marketing. So they, or your product is not sticky enough or good enough. And that's exactly the point, right? So if the more data you can get on that, the more you can understand it and predict it. And if you also have a platform where you can capture usage data, usually that engagement data is extremely helpful in predicting the future retention of those users as well. So that's exactly what it is. And think about if you build something, you just early on, but you have some kind of traction. You haven't at all spent time on analyzing your data yourself, but you have a hunch that it might work. And then you come to us and we apply the latest and greatest in analytics thinking, and we talk to you about how it works right now. Then maybe we find out that it's too early right now, but we give you the tools to say that if you hit these numbers, we help you to define what should that be. Then it's that then helping yourself to grow your company in a healthy way. And by the way, we could also offer you money.
Mm-hmm.